Yo, what up, guys? We're gonna recap the merge episode today of Survivor 42. Very special guest today on a very special day. It's his Peridiam joining us. Not quite your birthday, but the day before. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. I'm feeling a little older, a little wiser.
Yeah,
Not as old as Jeff Probst, I guess. I don't have to take a moment just yet, but yeah, almost my
true,
birthday.
true.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, cool. It's cool to have you to talk about the episode. We got a chance to do a recap with you last season. That was super fun. So glad to have you back. Before diving into the specifics about what we just witnessed today, I think a really good episode. But what are your thoughts on the season overall so far? 42.
I
Drop the two. Keep the
first I
four.
just want to say thank you guys for having me. I know this was like last minute. We just threw it together, but I'm happy to come on. Also Gideon, hey, what's up?
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, so far I'm loving the season, enjoying it a lot. It shows me like I was pretty divided with 41.
Mhm.
Even afterwards, I felt like I did a lot more coping, trying to find the good amidst the things I didn't like, a long laundry list of stuff that I was like. And then we're knowing 42 is like the repeat. It's like the alternate timeline of 41. I was like, are we in for, is this not our first rodeo? But so far I've been like, I don't know if it's because I had lower expectations. I don't know what, like after spending a year and a half after Winners at War, I had a lot going
Mhm.
into 41 and I don't feel like it was a met initially. 42, it's like the opposite. And maybe that's a good thing. I don't know if my standards are lower, but I've enjoyed 42 quite a lot. This
Mhm.
tonight felt like brought me back to like some of the best merge episodes that I've watched live because I've been
Yeah.
watching since season 18. And so, yeah, like that was a good feeling. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time. This was a good 2 hours. They made the absolute right call to make this a 2 hour episode instead of a one
Uh-huh.
hour like last season. Maybe I don't know if I would have had a different feeling with the
Mhm.
Hourglass, but like there was not a lot of juice to squeeze out of waiting a whole week to determine if somebody was going to break that or not.
Mhm.
And as we saw tonight, like it happened like I think at around 9:15 East Coast time. I was paying attention because
Mhm.
that would have
Same.
to have been consolidated and ended like 30 minutes or 20 minutes prior, which meant that a lot of the first hour would have had to have been cut out. So I think
Mhm.
this was the right call. And yeah, I've enjoyed this season so far. We're like 6, 7 hours into it. I'm looking forward to the last 7 hours.
Right.
This was the
Absolutely.
most I've ever been on the edge of my seat in a long time for Survivor because there was just like with the challenge, and I wasn't really on the edge of my seat for the Hourglass because we all knew it would happen there. But for
Yeah,
the
no.
challenge, especially, just like with Tori and everything, and same with you, Peridium. I looked over at my girlfriend and I asked her what time it was by the time Rockford came in for the challenge because I was like I want like how much what's their time management because I always thought that was interesting because last season I was like it's so obvious Eric's gonna smash it. Like,
Yeah. It
why do we
felt it
have to
felt a little
wait?
rushed. Like this episode gave us the chance to sort of look at like a lot of people's perspective,
Mhm.
which is kind of what I want in any episode of Survivor, like to have like, tabs on what like most of the power players are doing and like what they're thinking because ultimately only a handful of them are actually going to succeed. Still
Right.
blown away by the result tonight a little bit, like in the vote count and the fact that I think for me the big
Yeah.
thing is like none of the advantages were played. Not as I was
Right.
expecting like a Kagion, like 2 idols at least.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it seems like the players who voted in the majority for the most part, other than Mike, like all had the advantages. So I don't know. It's fascinating. I'm curious to see like what went down and like what the fallout is going to be from this.
Yeah, I feel like I've never done a recap right after an episode, so I'm still like reeling and I'm like trying to crunch the numbers in my head.
Like I'm like
This is
trying to
why me and Adam do day after recaps, guys,
yeah.
because I'm like, what happened? What
Well,
happened?
this
Wait.
must have been Adam's idea then, because this was like I'm like sweeping up I feel like I'm taking the broom out and sweeping up the pieces because I'm like, what? I can't fully
I
make
know.
sense. So I'm looking at like
I know.
Wikipedia. I'm like, why did High vote for Lydia?
I know.
Right.
I know.
When did
That
that
that's what
count?
shocked me. That's
That
what
was the
shocked
blind
me.
side.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you
I was like,
guys
oh,
think?
Heisen's in so much trouble. This is he's really the big loser of the episode. And then it's like, wait, no, what? Wait, what? He wrote Lydia. He said he would go to rocks for her.
I know we're gonna
Right.
get a confessional next episode, and it's gonna be like I didn't want to do this, but I had to. It's gonna be like one of those, But
Yeah, I feel like it was one of those things where he realized she was going home, whether he voted for her or not, and it's just like, do I want them to, realize that I'm with them, that I'm with this group? Um, I feel like I feel like most people would have done what he did in his circumstances. The vote I'm actually the most curious about was Roxroy voting Lindsay. Did he just
I was
hold the
most
wrong
shocked about the
plan, or-
spelling of Lindsay, Adam. That's what shocked me more.
Oh, I missed it. What did it say?
Got a Z in there.
It was like Linzy. I was like, rocks, right?
I feel
I
like
know.
his was the second most intriguing, just because it's like, what was that like the rough draft of the rough draft? Like, what plan was he in for that? I don't know if Lindsay was ever really legitimately thrown out. I understood like the split vote between Marianne and Jonathan. That's what we got, the 2-2. So it should have been like maybe a 3-2. And I'm like, what happened to Roxroy getting the one vote? It's very rare you get like 4 different people getting votes in an episode.
Yeah,
I know, but merge votes are always crazy like that, man. It seems like, and my philosophy for Survivor strategy would, because I leaned over to my girlfriend, I was like, man, Marianne should probably play her idol because merge votes are always so predictable. I say this every time, Adam. Always play an idol on the merge vote because you never freaking know because they're always so unpredictable. But
right, I would say the same thing. Look at like somebody like Kelly Kim. 2 idols,
right?
You gotta play it at the merge, no matter how good you feel.
know.
That could have been Marianne
especially
going out. Could have been Marianne getting blasted out tonight with an idol in her pocket. She got, something worked out in her favor. But still,
we didn't see it in the edit because I was worried for her.
I was too. I thought she was gonna go.
Yeah, I do like how when she casted her votes, they left in the edit her saying, "Oh, I'm taking a big risk here," and that made me think, "Oh, she's good." That she's referring to playing her idol. I guess that ended up being her making the decision not to play it,
right?
Which was interesting. There was a lot of that this episode. I feel like the editors really, really diverted our attention away from outcomes of certain things multiple times in this episode. I'll be honest, I was surprised they brought the hourglass back, but then like I also had to keep reminding myself that they only really had to base off of the reactions of the contestants and then like I guess people in production. They didn't really get to see what the fan reaction was because obviously 42 was filmed before 41 was aired. I personally feel like if it had been, they probably wouldn't have done it because I just feel like that across the board was a very hated advantage, and I'd be shocked if it ever comes back again, especially now that people know what can come of it. But I guess Roxroy's winning.
I feel like that's the thing with Roxroy's going. Yeah, history repeats itself. Honestly, though, it might be the opposite. It might be Roxroy. He's got, I don't know, like if we're looking at the polar opposite of 42 to 41, Roxroy he breaks the hourglass. Maybe he loses and he votes incorrectly the rest of the season. He gets to the final 5. He's like the only one casting the wrong vote. He somehow votes incorrectly at the fire making challenge. Can't even do that.
I know.
Yeah. Gets on the jury, casts a vote for someone who's not even in the final 3.
Yeah.
Roxroy does seem a bit lost, I'm not gonna lie, but
it's funny because he votes incorrectly, and my theory is like my first thought is, well, he probably just was doing some other plan, but then I'm like, knowing it's Roxroy, it wouldn't be surprising if it's just he's just out of the loop.
He's going to have a confessional next episode. It's going to be like, I had a bad vibe from Lindsay in Tribal, and, I always told my kids, stick with your gut. Yeah.
Yeah. At first, I was I was like, okay, maybe it is going to be something different. Because I'll be honest, when Jeff was explaining it, I was kind of confused. And I was like, okay, maybe this is something completely different or at least slightly altered. I do. So last season, they didn't tell them that the person they're sending to the island got something, right? That was a complete shock to everybody.
Yeah, it was just framed as exile in 41. That was it.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I did like it better this time. However, I was a little shocked that Jonathan Omer and with Jonathan Omer and Marianne on the same. I know Jonathan and Marianne were on the same team.
Oh no, not Omar.
Okay.
Omer wasn't. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was Lydia. Or not
Lydia,
Lydia,
Jonathan.
yeah.
Lydia, Jonathan, Lindsay, Marianne, Tori.
So those 3 of Orange Tribe were vulnerable. Right. Omer was the only Orange that wasn't.
Taku and Hai was there. Yeah, Hai could have been, but Taku really was in the line. They could have gotten taken out. They had a 50% chance at this point. Actually, even higher. It was a 60% chance because Tori was safe. I think Tori would have probably gone if she didn't win immunity tonight.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's the way it was looking to us.
I think I texted that to both of you guys before the immunity challenge. I was like, it's definitely Tori, right? And then just followed up with like
quickly followed by
yeah.
Of course, it's how Survivor loves to do that. It's like a good percent. I don't know what percentage it is, but it's like the story is like this person's probably going, so of course they win immunity.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. But so they got Shark Bulls. That's very top of my notes for the episode is just Shark Bulls.
I mean, I'm really glad Jeff made the changes to the Hourglass twist that Danny requested. I'm sure Danny was like, just make sure you include.
Are you changing
Applebee's.
the subject from Shark Bulls? I thought we were about to talk about Shark Bulls for a bit.
No, Applebee's. I'm sure he was like, let's include Applebee's, bro.
Okay. All right. Billy, you've ever had I know Gideon hasn't had a Shark Bowl.
What's a Shark Bowl?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't either. So okay. I'm like, I don't know.
I'm not an alcoholic like Adam, so I don't know, but.
I mean, I'm imagining it's the blue cocktail, the big blue cocktail goblet thing.
Yeah.
Did any of them drink that? I felt like they were all full by the end of the scene.
Yeah, they're not great. Unless you have like a really big sweet tooth, they are extremely, extremely sweet.
They look like, yeah.
It's basically like drinking. It tastes like the Blue Jolly Rancher, except it's like a margarita.
Just drink like a gallon of it.
Right.
That's gross. I would get sick.
But spiked with tequila is essentially it. But
do they put like I googled it? Do they put like a shark in it? Is it like a gummy or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
gosh. Okay, Applebee's. Yeah. Okay.
I've had it once for a wrap party for a movie I was working on. We were shooting right next door to an Applebee's, and one guy just came with like these 3 large cardboard boxes and just bought Shark Bulls for the whole set. I don't think anyone finished theirs.
I've never been to Applebee's.
Yeah, I have.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've never been.
I've been only a few times.
Adjacent. I know that's like probably similar to like TGI Fridays or something.
Yeah, I've been
to that
similar.
a bunch of times. So I guess I just got unlucky.
Man.
Never been to Applebee's.
I mean, it's good. It's not life altering, but it's good. It's good.
It's just kind of like your run of the mill like Red Robin, like
Red Robin, Chili's,
just like
yeah.
That sort of thing.
But,
family oriented, but
do you think they paid Mike to say I love Applebee's?
Probably not. I think he's probably just like knows it's going to be included if he says it.
I know. I was like, right. He knows this is getting on TV.
If he says it loud and clear.
I love Applebee's.
I'm at least.
I love Applebee's.
He literally said it like that. I love Applebee's.
Oh man.
Speaking of things that sounded scripted, I love going back to the Hourglass because I noticed this when Erica smashed the Hourglass. She had such a cool line before she smashed it. It was like, this could ruin my game or make my game, but at least I know the destiny's in my own hands. And then smash, and then I actually forget what Rock's Roy's was today, but I'm just like, are they feeding them these lines? Because these are
Rock's Roy's line was.
Did he actually say? I know. Was it dubbed in possibly? Did they add it in after?
Yeah, I think it was a dub. If it was like Rock's Roy speaking on the island, he'd be like, "I need to get my rice real quick before I was missed."
Yeah. But. Also, I'm pretty sure the Erica. I have to look at this one, but I'm pretty sure the Erica one, like they have the zoom in of the Hourglass isn't actually her hammer. it's like a good looking smash, but I don't think it was her smash. I've
Yeah.
studied that before. I was like, wait a minute, the footage they use here doesn't add up. Like the hammer and the position, the background isn't the same. I'm like, they took a producer and zoomed in on somebody else smashing. So like a lot of Hourglass is getting smashed these seasons.
Right. No, and so as soon as the last thing I wanted to add about the challenge, like, did anyone else get like some bad flashbacks whenever Jeff said gray rocks? Because I felt like a Vietnam vet remembering the war whenever Jeff said that.
It wasn't about the rocks to me throughout the challenge that was giving me flashbacks. It was just me with an attitude the whole challenge of going like, man, I hope Jonathan's tribe loses because they'll catch a break if they lose.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a weird feeling to me, rooting for someone to lose.
I've had like I agree with you. Like I look at it like from like a game design perspective, it's really bad. That's my hardest problem. I'm like, even if I love the results of the episode or like not just Lydia going, but I mean like overall the 2 hours, like I enjoyed tonight. It was a good 2 hours.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, if the game is designed to where like players should be losing, that's optimal. That's like dumb. That's really bad. That's like, you shouldn't have it. Like, imagine like football is designed to where getting a safety is the goal. Like that's smarter than throwing a 30-yard pass. That doesn't make any sense. So you shouldn't do it. And it's like never gonna be in any instance a good idea. It's just, it might create cool moments or great moments in spite of it, but not because of it. So I'm like, it's hard for me to be against the Hourglass. They've done this on Big Brother a lot. I know you guys don't watch it, but they've had twists where it's like losing is actually the better idea and smarter strategy. And I'm like, even though it creates these cool strategies, the producers didn't intend for that to be the case. It's like Survivor. They don't want you to throw challenges. They don't want Jonathan to be like getting crushed by the boulder. And like, that's like the optimal, that's the best thing that could happen for his game this episode is like, he doesn't make it through. They want the strongs to like succeed and to push that boulder. And, that's so they don't tell him. I like that they told him a little more. They're like, you can change. It's a game-changing twist.
Right.
Don't really know what, but it seems like the players were clued in enough that like we saw Drea and Jonathan both bring up like the idea that it's likely that he can reverse everything or change the outcome. So they did seem to be strategizing around that.
Good freaking
option.
Call by Drea too.
Like, I was like, oh damn, like I don't remember. I don't think anyone last season had any idea if this was coming, which is why they were so mad. Whereas this season they're like, okay, we know something crazy is gonna happen soon. We know Rockstar is gonna do it. Probably he's gonna change something. I don't know. So I was like, that was smart though. Like, good for them.
And I feel like last season, if someone had said it, they would have definitely included that in the edit. So I believe it hadn't crossed anyone's mind, or at least if it did, they didn't say it out loud.
I think just their honest reactions, like they showed like Danny being like so annoyed, like, and we've seen from all the postseason interviews, he's like talked to Jeff about it, and it's just like you lied, like you lied to us, just like straight up, like you've ruined your word, just the sanctity of like production being this neutral, unbiased, like you just completely just put your hand all the way on the weight and just put it in one direction.
Well, I'm worried now too, because I'm like, well, for future like the season 43 and 44 merge challenges, are people gonna throw them because they want immunity? I feel like
if they bring up this concept of like somebody's gonna have to do something extra, they're gonna be like, all right, well, we've seen this, which is why I feel like Survivor 41 and 42 really can't be replicated for 43 and 44, which probably a good thing because I don't think we need to see it. All these twists return. Like I don't think they're gonna do the phrases again for the idols.
Same.
Because they can't. Like there's no oomph. There's no TV moment anymore. Like they got Nasir, and they had Mike's was slightly different, but his was like, do I or do I not? What's the strategy? And he made a call. I'm like, you're really not going to get which is also my problem with like fire making. Like it's kind of a little bit, it's not as I feel like a vote is always going to be more exciting than a fire making challenge, which is why I'm like, can you just revert that back? Give us the vote. I want the Final Four vote back. It can be fun. If you watch International Survivor, you can see how crazy it can get. Do you guys watch International Survivor?
Oh yeah. When
Okay.
we're allowed to by Paramount, yes.
Well, so they're not very often.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely catch it on the secret Facebook page that everybody knows
It's
about.
like the
but yeah.
core Survivor works so well. It's basically a sport. Like you can repeat, you can just have the season after season after season, like football or soccer or whatever. Just bring back generally the same teams. That's what you get with the archetypes. It's like the same kind of person, and you get crazy different outcomes because people are very different. But like the twists
Right.
are not different; they're repetitive. So you're not gonna. I don't think, if you ask me, you're not gonna get the idle things back. You're not gonna get the hourglass back. I would be surprised if most of these twists don't come back. Even do or die. Like they're gonna know what the do
Yeah.
or die twist is. They're just gonna
Right.
be like, well, do I want to suffer through the Monty Hall problem? Like maybe. I mean, technically Deshaun survived through it. He would have been voted out if he didn't get that. So
Right.
I don't know.
Well, the other thing too with the phrases, and I know I mentioned this when we did our kickoff show, was I feel like now if people are gonna be looking for like funny phrases, like people like if someone says something like, "Oh, my socks are on fire this morning," they're gonna immediately think, "Oh, that was an idle phrase," which it
You're
either
really
is
gonna
and
have to
you've been
watch what you
caught,
say now.
which it
Yeah.
either is and you've been caught, or it isn't and people think you have an idol when you actually don't. Um, but you don't know that they think that you do. You know,
Like if
it,
I like a yeah. Like if you want your tribe to think you have an idol, just like randomly be like, "Yo, band-aids are great" or something. You know, just
That's funny.
Weird.
I actually like
Yeah,
that.
That's a new strategy that's going to be implemented for 43 and 44. I'm calling it.
Right.
Or just say something like Applebee's shark pools are the greatest drink on earth.
And that's a crazy phrase. So what happened with Drea this episode and the challenge wise? Didn't see that one coming.
Oh yeah, with the first challenge with the boulder.
Yeah, I was almost worried that it was like going to be like a medical thing. Like it's they stopped the music and
Yeah.
Jeff like looked
Yeah.
over to that thing where he kind of like looks over but I don't know, maybe just I guess exhausted, but like she's
I
like a
mean,
fitness coach, right? Like she's
I will say, like, she's pretty fit, which is pretty surprising. I think
Mhm.
partially they didn't have they didn't have Jonathan there to like just pick people up and just like throw them over, which
Yeah.
it clearly made a huge difference. It's a big boulder.
Yeah.
And I also think, they're just exhausted. It's tough. They had to create like a 5-person ladder with
Right.
like multiple parts. Like Mike is just being torn apart limb by limb, like just to hold on.
Right.
Like it's crazy. And then you just have Jonathan over there just like picks people up. So
Right. At the merge feast, the thing that I thought was the most interesting, really the only thing that happened besides Jonathan just eating 3/4 of the whole thing, was Tori pretty much spilled the beans on everything Blue Tribe, which I wanted to ask if you guys thought that was a smart or bad thing, because like she was at the bottom of her tribe and she obviously wants to flip from being with the Blue Tribe over to whoever will take her in. So being that open and establishing early on, like I'm, before she had a chance to go back and say, oh, let's make a plan where I'm a secret agent or something. I like that, but at the same time, I think it shows that she's, you know, loose and like willing to flip. And obviously, like we said at the beginning of this podcast, if she hadn't won immunity, I think we all thought she would have gone home. Now, granted, she was the only one from her tribe on that team, but did you guys think that was smart for her to sort of air out all the laundry that quick?
what do you think, Gideon?
I mean, what is smart for Tori at this point, if we're being honest? Like, she's made some very questionable moves. I guess if she wants to cut ties, sure, but I don't know, because it's just like her and Chanel, like they're just painting themselves as the people that spill the beans on whatever. I think that if you really think that that giving away that information is going to make people trust you, then sure, but I'm not sure that's what happened.
Yeah, I was kind of nervous going. I spoke to the specialists a couple days ago, and we did like a ranking going into the merge. And I had Tori at the bottom, I think, or I had Chanel at the bottom. Either way, they were interchangeable. I had Tori and Chanel both at the bottom, and I was like looking looking at the relationships and this 4-4-4 split, and I'm like, and Marianne too is somewhat at the bottom, and she got thrown under the bus a little bit. But ultimately she seemed to get looped in and was a part of the majority. But I was like, I feel like both these two outsiders are going to be in a lot of trouble, because not only do they not have loyalty, they are against the odds. They're not going to have Mike, Hai, Lydia, Drea, Romeo, or Rocksroy. That's 6 voices, and they're just 2. Like, you can go rogue and be a rogue agent, but you're not going to get much when you know the other people are they instantly threw them under the bus and were like, don't trust Chanel, don't trust Tori. And I'm like, they're going to be probably the easy consensus boot that you see. Even the craziest post merges oftentimes have like consensus first boots at the merge, because everyone's just looking for stability. Everyone's looking for like the easy anyone but me, especially knowing that they're probably not even on the jury. You see that even like thinking like even in season 31, which is incredibly chaotic, they just voted out Cass, and it was like a 9-3 vote or something. You had David versus Goliath. It was like 12-1, and it's like you just get these, and then all hell broke loose after that. So I'm like, this was going to turn into what could have been like a 10-1 vote. Like everyone votes out Tori. I don't think there was anything. I think she's in a really bad spot. I still think she's in a really bad spot. I think Chanel's in a bad spot too. They have no loyalty. They're showing, and like Omer is clearly, I think, probably the MVP of the episode. Didn't cast a vote.
Yeah.
And who is probably the biggest advocate other than like probably Hai against Chanel is Omer, because of the Shipwell Island debacle. He's like, I didn't have my vote. I didn't know that. And she didn't tell me that. But guess who did tell me? Her ally, or her other tribe mates. And guess who's well, actually they didn't all vote together anyway. So I feel like Vachi's in a lot of trouble now as a whole. The Green Tribe's pretty fractured, but I think Chanel is just, she is on her own little exile island. So is Tori, and I just don't think there's much they're going to be able to do at the moment. Hope that the whatever majority is formed fractures now that it's a lot more individual.
Yeah, and at the same time,
we're gonna need a battle map on this Peridiam.
I mean, I am. I'm mapping it out in my mind right now.
Yeah, we need a battle map video.
It's the next week. That's what's coming up.
Yeah.
At the same time,
at the same time, like, even though Tori's spilling the laundry, like, it didn't really get her to join with what seems like the majority group. It did seem like the people that she wanted to not be in the majority group aren't in. I mean, Romeo didn't seem like he was part of it. Rocksroy didn't seem like he was part of it. Drea seemed like she was part of it, but at the same time, everyone knows that Drea has at least the idol, if not, I don't know. You know, we don't know. She has like what 3 things at this point. So maybe
the amulet, the idol, and the vote.
Yeah. So well, she did tell them that she has the extra vote, but she didn't use. She didn't give to Omer. I guess they felt like they didn't need it. So maybe they are only bringing Drea in because, you know,
she's
they
strong.
Take advantage of her toys.
What's also interesting is that if you look at the votes, I don't know if did they explain how this majority formed? Like, I'm looking at like you've got the Takus who voted together. That's 3 of the 6, and then you've got Drea, Romeo, and Hai. So there's like, I'm looking at that, and I'm like, did we see
Mike voted for Lydia?
Like, Mike did he? Oh, he did.
Yeah,
right.
He did.
Oh wow.
From what I understood throughout the episode and what I can make of that alliance,
so Romeo voted Marianne.
They thought that there was an alliance trying to get the weak people together, so they made the Strong Boys alliance and voted out Lydia. So I think that's apparently why Hai flipped. That was like his like little confessional, like, they're gunning for Jonathan and he's strong and I consider myself strong, so I don't really want that to happen. So
Drea, Hai, Mike. Okay,
that's all the Strong Boys.
Yeah, it is. Drea's, I guess. Yeah, Drea was a part of that conversation. Mike, Hai, okay, and then I guess they just got Marianne involved
because of her toys.
Yeah, her idol and her vote.
Yeah.
And Lindsay Lindsay didn't want to vote out Jonathan. Makes sense. And
I mean, if you go with who voted Lydia, if that's going to be the, you know, the team to beat, then I guess it would be what, Dre, Hai, and then Mike, and then Omer would have voted for Lydia. I feel like if he had a vote.
Well, yeah, 100%. I mean, he orchestrated the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what it seemed. Yeah, no, I definitely was leaning. We'll give our MVPs toward the end, but I definitely think I would have said High like before Omer kind of took over. I really felt like High was doing the best at bringing everybody together, kind of like organizing this majority, but not in a way that like Shan did it, because Shan kind of did the same thing last season, but like she did it in a way where it was like, oh, who's this girl? Okay, yeah, let's let her think she's bringing it together, because it seemed like she was doing it for the sense of, I'm going to bring these people together to be the one in charge. Whereas High felt like, let's bring these people together because we know we can click, we know we can vibe, at least for this vote. So I really would have said High as my MVP before Omer kind of got involved, but
yeah, it seems
yeah.
like High. I'm surprised. I don't know what happened with Romeo and Drea splitting apart. I wonder if that was intentional or not. I'm trying to figure out, like, did Drea and Romeo intend, like, Romeo voted for Marianne along with Lydia, so I wonder if he's on the outs. I thought
Yeah.
he
I
was
think
in a little bit
Romeo
more
is on the
control.
outs.
Interesting to see the three people with the amulets working together. You would have thought that maybe they would, you get a better power if you get one of them out, but obviously I guess High is better. He's proven himself. I think initially I was a little bit down on High in the season because he was at the bottom. If it wasn't for Chanel, he probably would have gone Lydia than him, because we don't see the blow up happen. But now he's in this position where I guess he's found a way to ingratiate himself. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, he was really strong. I'd say he's up there in like the top 3 for the best players of this episode.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah,
top 2.
He did good,
Narrow it down.
and it really seemed like he fooled them on how close he was with Lydia. Fooled me too, because him voting for Lydia, I wouldn't have thought he would have done that.
Yeah.
I did. I was very surprised by that.
I was
when they
surprised
said that
from him and Mike. I don't
Yeah.
know. I guess to us, like, we weren't let in as much as there apparently was on that alliance.
I feel like they didn't show us a lot about how that came together. I guess they showed us that's the strong alliance. There were like the big dummies versus the little brains.
Right.
It seems like the big dummies won this time. And so I guess that's what we saw here with Drea, High, Jonathan, Lindsay, Marianne. Okay, interesting. And then the funny part is, it's Omar, who's probably the brainiest of the bunch, like the brain shield of the season, as they call it. I think that's what they call him, or the nerd shield or something.
Yeah.
I think it was the brain shield, and I'm like, he was really the brains of the whole operation. I think he's like, look, I didn't want to get involved here, but I think I'm gonna have to. Like, this is getting out of hand. It's coming down to 2 people. I don't want either Marianne or Jonathan to get voted out tonight, and that's the current momentum is going.
Yeah. Well, so and I think Marianne now is under the impression that he essentially saved her. So I feel like if there was anyone Marianne would play the idol for in the future, it probably would be Omer. So I feel like he now is owed a favor by someone who has, who has favors to give. So no, I think he did great. I think High did good. Another person, I don't think I would give him MVP of the episode, but someone who I thought had kind of like a low-key really good episode was honestly Mike. But like every time we saw Mike this episode, he was just vibing or clicking with someone. With Jonathan, I mean, yeah, I just feel like there's no one he's really.
Yeah,
Chanel might be the only one he's
the
not
moment,
tight with,
he's
but
pretty
like,
out on Michelle. Chanel, the moment you get to emerge, like the best way to tell who the strongest players are the people who can like connect with anyone and they can vibe with anyone. They can just get to know anyone, and then also hopefully leverage that strategically. That's like the best you can do in Survivor, is just be able to get along with almost any type of person. It'll make it makes you a better person in real life, but absolutely in the game of Survivor too. I think that's what I think we have a handful of pretty strong players in that regard. In this merge.
Yeah, even Tori, who's clearly very on the outs, when she came back from Yeah, when she came back from winning the challenge, Mike was like the first to congratulate her and said, let me touch it, let me just touch it. Just
Yeah.
seems like he did a lot of like little things to like really like establish. I think his social game is something that's I really wasn't expecting. I didn't think it would be bad, but I really didn't think it would be as good as it's been this season. So, and Jonathan too. I thought Jonathan was going to be all muscle, but like I think his because of how great physically he's been is shadowing how great socially he's been as well.
Yeah,
Because people,
I will. That scene with the two guys bonding over being like labeled the big dummies is pretty funny. It's like
yeah,
that's a fascinating angle. I thought I laughed at that. I was like, I've never heard. I don't think I've heard that one. But
yeah,
hey, you know what? It comes in all shapes and sizes, and even if the guys who go to the gym and are ripped and are, whether you're in
right,
your 20s or your 50s,
yeah.
you get judged. It happens.
What's
And
also funny
to
because
be fair, a lot of people were down on Jonathan. I feel like it's going into the season, like his odds to win were low.
Well,
Nobody's picking
yeah.
him as a winner pick. Like you look at the guy and you're like, yeah, he's not gonna win Survivor. Like, come on.
yeah,
But he's currently in a good spot. So is Mike. They're both in a really good spot.
Well, I just think that's
yeah,
a historical problem because like the people like Jonathan, like it was said in the episode, like people like Jonathan are usually the merge boot. Like that's usually how it goes. But that wasn't the case here because he kind of surrendered and talked to Omer and was just like, all right, man, we've been talking about the brains. Like, you're the brains on the brawn. This is where I need your brains. Like, come on. And it was really cool to see that come to fruition.
Yeah, I think that like somebody tweeted out the last 6 or 7 votes have actually at the merge have been women getting voted out. And I noticed that was a trend too when I first started my channel. I made a video very early on talking about the safe vote, which
hmm
is a very basic strategy that has come from idols being in play and now other advantages. It's like you pick the person that's least likely to either get the idol put on them or have the idol. And that has
right,
historically been women, especially like when they're smaller and they're less physical. It's just the way that the
hmm
game breaks out. So, make of it what you will. But that has
hmm
shifted over the years. And I wouldn't be surprised. Survivor started out with the big dummies getting voted out early in the merge.
hmm
Like they were historically the merge vote. It kind of shifted as more elements came into play, and it became more of the smaller women get voted out. I don't know.
yeah,
It was an interesting callback to see like that become. And to be fair, he was the number one target for like half of the episode. It looks like
Yeah.
so.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I'm curious. Like, I don't think he would have been voted out if the Hourglass was in play. I don't think. I feel like it
hmm
would have still been like Tori Chanel or something, but I don't think that's even because
hmm
they're trying to dodge an idol or dodge an advantage. It's just they're just voting out the people at the bottom.
I mean,
yeah.
how long
I
do you
feel like it
think
would
they're
have been
gonna let
Chanel.
Jonathan go?
I think it's gonna be like a Tony situation. Like, how long do you need like LJ in the game? You know what I mean? Not like LJ is the same person, but like if he's an extra vote. The thing is, I'm like, who's currently in the driver's seat? I would probably say Omer, but we'll
Right.
see what happens next episode and like when it starts to really form, like who's got the majority and like who's really in power. But it's like, how much does that person want to keep Jonathan around? Do they? Because there's a certain
hmm
point where you no longer need certain numbers, and you can kind of
Right.
get away with voting them out, clipping them. We saw Tony do it with Sophie. It's like, yeah, she's on my side, but I don't need Sophie for a number anymore. Like she's
Right.
done what she needs to do for me, and now I can clip her. And that's his basic strategy. Just keep ping ponging. So I'm wondering if anyone's going to do that, or I don't know. Like, is he going to lose a jury vote? I don't feel like he would. I don't feel like he's
Mm.
got that going against him. So I would say like as soon as you can, but I'm not out
Yeah.
there. I don't know. How
Well,
long
it's
do you think he's
interesting
going to
because
go? I'd be curious to know. Like,
yeah,
I thought a couple more votes, he might start winning next, and then whenever he loses, just because eventually you have to wise up and just be like, golly, okay, when do you take out the shield? Because you can't bring the shield with you, because the shield will win. That's why there is shield.
I mean, it's
Mhm.
kind of like he is that shield, which would mean that you want to keep him at least for a handful more votes while the game is still unstable. That's like the
yeah,
point. The point is he's going to draw the heat. So I could see him surviving a couple more episodes, at least a couple more.
It seemed like Lindsay was already talking about like he won't win a puzzle, man. Like he's not like he won't win a puzzle. Like it'll
Is
be
that like
okay.
foreshadowing?
Yeah, it's like foreshadowing to him getting to Final Five. He loses a puzzle.
Kind of like Ricard or something like that, or like somebody
Exactly.
finds the advantage at the Final Five, which is probably going to come back.
Don't. Oh,
I think that's kind of lame. I
don't
just
even want to think
reaction.
about it, dude.
Honestly, of all the advantages, that was one thing that I was like, why? Like they have like it's because they have nothing to air at the Final Five. So like, let's just make them go on a scavenger hunt to start out the
Right.
finale. That's the finale. So they're like, let's just make them do something random and wild. Like they did the idol find on Island of the Idols, where they like had to do this weird scavenger hunt thing that I think Dean found the
Right.
idol.
Dean
So
found it, yeah.
they're like, we need something for the beginning of the finale. So they're like, yeah, we'll just screw somebody off, somebody of not winning immunity when they probably need it the most. I could see that happening to Jonathan. Actually, he's like the Ricard.
Yeah,
I mean, Ricard probably wins if it's not for that one advantage, which is kind of crazy.
I know, not a hot take. That is for sure.
Yeah,
that's
a very easy what if to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan. If I had to guess, I think he probably goes somewhere like right in the half between merge and like Final Five. What's interesting, like it's not a case of like Jeremy of like in Cambodia, like when do I get rid of Joe? It's kind of this weird thing with Jonathan where like a lot of people are using him as the meat shield as opposed to just like one or maybe two. It's like everyone is using him as the meat shield, which might make him, slip very far. So
yeah, I mean, if you're a lot of people's number one or number two, like they're not gonna feel like you need to go yet, because the moment that you go, they're gonna be like, "Uh-oh, I'm next." And
I do think he's really him being so tight with Omer and Lindsay, and I guess Marianne. I don't think as much so as Lindsay and Omer, but we don't normally see that from like the big physical threats to be in an alliance that tight. Or if they are, they're constantly reminding us, like in confessionals, oh, we're only still with him because he's a meat shield. Whereas Omer, I feel like I said it once, like super early on. I don't really remember Lindsay saying it. She kind of has stuck up for him at a couple times, but no, back to what started this. Yeah, the moment with him and Mike was interesting. It was cool too because it happened right at the same time as Romeo and High's moment, which was a lot more serious and emotional, and like that juxtaposed with Mike and Jonathan was fun to watch. But
yeah, I think Romeo's family is in El Salvador. Is that what he said?
Right. Yeah,
I think so.
El Salvador.
Which I don't know. I don't really know the culture of El Salvador, but yeah, I know some people are like probably surprised that like being gay is like a weird something to be against in other countries, whereas in the US it's not. So I'm like, yeah, I'm guessing. I didn't know at the time, but I'm like, I don't know if his family's in the US or if they're even American. So to hear that they're in El Salvador, I was like, okay, I don't really know much about El Salvador, but I have heard from I know other cultures are like very homophobic, and so yeah, that sucks. I feel really bad. That was actually a really good scene. That was probably one of the highlights of the entire night, to be honest, was watching those two. It threw me back to Zeke and Brett in Millennials Gen X.
Yes.
Almost 10 seasons ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope Romeo gets some more airtime, because I don't know, it's not he's definitely not, I think, top 5 on anyone's favorite to win, which sucks because he was my preseason winner pick. So I need him to.
He's looking pretty good. Time. I just I'll be curious.
I don't think he's in trouble.
Yeah,
I just don't think he's like he's not. I think Drea, Mike, even Jonathan, Omer feel like have a lot more. I feel like Lindsay seems like she has more power, but she's kind of been like invisible over the last 2 episodes.
Just a number.
Yeah. Which is weird because it seems like she's in like probably the tightest alliance of the whole season, and like good in challenges, sociable. It just seems like she's has it all right now, and the amulet, but like just I don't know. I guess maybe she's just not what they're looking for to narrate.
I think there's just bigger personalities. This is a pretty stacked merge tribe.
Yeah.
I think
very stacked.
With like there's so many personalities, and like there's a lot of big players left in the game. Like Lydia was honestly maybe the smallest player as far as what they could. I was pretty down on Lydia. I was like, I feel like her game is pretty weak so far. I feel like she's kind of just been a sitting duck, and maybe that's what they want us to think. I don't know, but like, so I don't feel as bad when somebody gets like taken, because if the Hourglass was not in play, I don't think she goes tonight.
I don't think so.
I think she's probably so.
Chanel or Tori, yeah.
Say Probst is probably okay with that. He likes it when the power players stick around, the big moves players. But yeah, I don't know. With Lydia, I wasn't like reeling from her going, only because like, she's probably the smallest personality of, or at least of other than maybe Lindsay, of the people left, which is weird because she seems to have a lot of personality on the internet. They just don't really, or online. They just don't really show it much in the episode.
I know Lydia for sure. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, but I agree. I think this almost kind of feels like an all-star season, just as far as like how many like.
I was gonna say it felt like Winners at War, because in the sense that they are making an all threats alliance, and I was like, oh crap, here we go with the hyenas and the lions again.
I tweeted the same thing. I'm like, this feels like lions versus hyenas all of a sudden. And the interesting thing is like a lot of the players in the hyenas category, I would say, are like, I would say Romeo, Marianne, who else was in that potentially? Tori. I'm like, these are big personalities. Chanel, like these are gamers. These are people like Tori, if you guys don't know, played on Sequester before going on this. She was a power player. Like she's a big hitter. So not doing too hot right now on 42, but of the 11 people left, like this is a pretty stacked season going forward. I'll be surprised almost in anyone going, other than maybe like Roxroy or something. He's kind of on his own little exile still. He's still out there.
Roxroy isn't a lion or a hyena. He's like a blobfish or something.
He's an anomaly or something.
He's a lobster.
He's one of the sharks in the cup. Circling around.
I don't know what he's doing. Because, man, when that challenge was going on, I was like, whoever goes to the island, man, I feel like it might be repeat. It's going to be like, they're the winner. Then Roxroy went, and I was like, okay.
Oh, yeah. He's the one person. I wonder how the producers felt about that. I wonder if they were hoping for anyone else.
Yeah,
I don't know.
True.
I also feel like Lindsay was pretty small at it. So if she had gone it really, I don't know what that probably would have been good for her, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like Roxroy is confidently not winning this season, so I'm really not too worried about Erica coming back.
Yeah. I could at this point see Roxroy at the spot where I thought someone like Zach was going to be, where he could be that like no vote finalist sort of spot.
Perhaps he's just want to drag him to the end.
It's kind of like a Ken McNichol from Millennials Gen X, like kind of out of touch. Not a really strong reason to ever vote him out. I don't know.
Yeah, the only difference, I feel like Ken like had so many opportunities to really make a move. Like I feel like there was a couple times where like the opportunity to make a big move was like right there.
And Ken never did it.
Yeah, never really did. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Omer for my MVP of the episode for sure.
Me too.
I feel like
it's a hot take.
Not a hot take.
Yeah, definitely gonna get some hate mail for that one. Maybe some
I don't think. I mean, they had like a whole 10-minute montage of Omar just running around, like explaining everything he was doing. He was organizing, rallying the votes. I mean, this was like, it reminded me of Chanel when she was like, I don't have a vote and I'm controlling the vote. And it blew up in her face. And I'm like, this is Omer sort of having a repeat where he's like, I don't have a vote, but I'm going to do my best to control the vote. And he did. And
he did with like 3 times as many people to have to worry about.
And he just met these people like a day ago. And he managed to wrangle in 3 of them to join him. You know, and they're from 2 different tribes. So I'm not sure, like, I mean, I imagine there's a couple of other steps involved, like Jonathan and Mike bonding pretty heavily, High bonding with that group as well. He seems to be attached to them. They're like the stronger players physically. Drea, maybe the amulet came together. They did say that was an interesting thing where they like, you know, we're supposed to go after each other, but maybe we should do the opposite and try to work together. And I'm like, interesting. Are they lying to each other right now? Because I would probably take one of them out if I was one of them.
I
Like,
feel like they're lying for now. I mean, I feel like they're telling the
yeah,
truth for now,
they're
but I
playing it
feel like it's
safe.
gonna, yeah. But I'd be surprised if that's a long term. What, Drea and Lindsay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they stick longer
I
than a
just feel like
couple
the longer you're in
episodes.
the game with that thing, like if you don't need those votes, that's an idol waiting for you. And when you get, if you're the last remaining player of that three, I mean, they're first of all, they have the majority. So that's great. They could hypothetically go pretty far, at least halfway into the merge. If you start picking those two people off and you are the last three of the standing of those three, you've got an idol in your pocket. So you can even stay
Mhm.
safe at that point. And one of them, one of those three is gonna have an idol, unless they use
Right.
it, which I highly doubt they will. It's like I
Right.
bet you that's going to be an idol for one of those three. They're going to get an idol.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Like I would feel pretty good about it if I was one of those three.
Yeah, especially High because Drea has one and already, and then I feel like
Oh,
Lindsay
you're right, she does.
sort of feels like, you know, Marion has the idol, but like I think I think she's under the impression that like it's kind of like what Taki is at the Orange Tribe.
Yeah, Taku.
Taku, yeah, I feel like she kind of
Taki's
feels
a
like that's.
chip.
Thanks, Gideon. I feel like she kind of sees that as like a tribal idol. So
Right.
I feel like if anyone would screw the other two, it would be High for that reason. But
Yep. It'll be a Lucina like blindside where everyone's like, "Oh no," and now they're like, "Oh well, now it has full power." Sorry. So
I was going to ask, who do you guys think is going after this? Now that we've seen the vote, if you had to pick, I was just
I'm
curious
thinking
to
Tori
know.
or Chanel.
You
Tori
think
or
yeah,
one of the
I think
outsiders?
Tori or Chanel's. I think it'll be a couple of easy votes after this. To be honest, I could be wrong,
honestly,
but
yeah,
I
could
think
see
so.
that.
After this crazy tribal, I agree with you. I think we will have that like just like unanimous like whoever.
because
So we're looking
Rocktroy
at-
and Romeo, I feel like are easy votes, but they're not. I
Yeah.
don't think like they're threats.
They're not slime
Like Tori-
balls, you know. Like that's why but that's why Tori and Chanel aren't liked because they're not trustworthy. And I feel like literally everybody, every single person this episode had a conversation like I don't like Tori or I don't like Chanel. Like they just aren't. I can't play with them. Like at least
Yeah.
everybody said that about one of them.
Yeah.
I'll say that's like a massive underrated strategy that people don't take into account is like building trust early on is so pivotal. And so many super fans in Survivor and Big Brother they just F that up. Like they instantly show their cards. And I think we've got both of that with both of them. And it just, the
Mhm.
moment you burn that bridge, it's almost impossible to rebuild it. It's like you can't put the shit back in the bottle or the toothpaste back in the tube. Once
Can't
it's out,
unsmash the hourglass, man.
yeah, you can't. Yeah, that's basically like their hourglass on the first episode. It's like once you show your disloyalty and it becomes a thing, like that's your reputation. I don't know what you're gonna be able to do besides like vote the way you're gonna vote, I guess.
Right.
And even then, it hasn't really worked out with Chanel and Tori. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I felt pretty bad about them going in. The fact that they both got safe was just a luck of the draw, I guess. Technically, it was luck of the draw.
Luck of the hourglass.
Luck of the smash. So I could see
Well,
at least one or two early votes unless something crazy happens.
Mm-hmm.
One or two simple
Well,
votes.
speaking of a change in power, we have a new leader in me and Gideon's fantasy here. I was in since episode 1, first vote. I had been in second place of 2, but have now established first place. Not by much, but I think it's even now. As you can see, I had Jackson, I had Zach and Jenny pretty early, but it's been Gideon's team has been affected.
You guys
It's
have
okay.
a pretty even split there. 5
Yeah,
and
we were
5.
talking about this before. It's probably going to come down to the winner, which is what we wanted. But
I think it's gonna happen. Yeah, you guys have a very even. Like you got obviously some weaker players on both sides, but damn, yeah.
The scoring system is we each started with 126 points, and if you want to have the most points at the end, so more points is good. the thing is, like, okay, so let's say Zach goes home first. He would be 18th place. So you'd subtract 18 from my score.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So
we
if I
did.
get the winner, I would only subtract 1 point from my score, which wouldn't really affect it that much.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that makes
but
sense. So then even if you have like all the last few, you're gonna lose the least amount of points. So okay.
yeah,
And it's cool
because
because I feel like if
last season,
Tori or Chanel go next, you guys are splitting the difference.
I know,
yeah,
man.
One or the other. If that
I'm
happens.
putting all
Rockstar is
my
on the
faith in
bottom.
Taku, all of it.
Seriously, you got Taku, yeah. Well, they look pretty good. I feel pretty good about Omer, Jonathan, and Lindsay
hmm
I
so
mean,
far. Well, actually, I don't know if I feel
Omer.
great about Jonathan, but I feel okay about him.
I think Omer's the
right,
favorite to win. And Peridium, if you don't recall, around this time last season, you called
Mhm.
Erica winning. So
And was it around
it,
this time? It
it
was around
was it was
somewhat.
it was around this time that you talked about her talking about being the sheep or whatever. So come
Yeah, the
on,
lion.
becoming
who
a
is
Yeah.
it?
lion.
Give
I
us the
haven't. I
winner.
have to
Go
rewatch
ahead.
the merge. The merge is huge. I have to rewatch it. I think it was a few episodes after because I was pretty high on a couple people at this point. Like once we got to the merge, I was blindsided pretty heavily when Evie got voted out.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I was kind of like I think Evie could win, and then after that I
hmm
was after Evie went, I was all in on Erica. I was like, all right, I think Erica's the winner. I don't know how for sure. I don't understand it. Like I was too uncomfortable with picking Shan again. I'm like, I think Shan's the villain. I think she's got to go.
Well,
I can't see
that was the
Shan.
truth.
And right as
hmm
that happened, right as I came to that revelation, like I was like, I think Shan's going, and then she got voted out the next episode, and it was hard to imagine. I was like, Shan's so dominant for every episode up to that point, but I'm like, her narrative is just leading up to a big blindside or a big vote out.
yeah,
But this season, honestly, like, yeah, I feel like Omer he's almost stock standard pick, which is why it's a little bit too dangerous. But a winner usually has a decent merge. Erica did only in the sense that she had the hourglass, but
right,
there really wasn't much else to show for it. I remember the battle map I
hmm
did for that, and I was like, where the hell did Erica go after the hourglass? Like, she smashed it. She had a big moment on the island. She got to talk about her backstory and whatever.
Right.
And I was like, that was like, oh yeah, like she had a pretty bad edit overall. They did a terrible job of showing her, and
right,
that was it. Like, so I don't know. We'll see, but I'm like, Omer is clearly a front runner.
yeah.
I'd have to rewatch
If
it though. I'm gonna do
if you
that.
could pick like your three most likely at this point,
Oh boy. Usually I do 4 after 3 episodes, so now I can go to 3 if we want at the merge.
okay, yeah,
Um, who did I have? I have to stick so like I pick 4 after episode 3. So I'm gonna just look
okay,
at those 4 then and just reduce 1 if you want me to.
yeah,
Because I can't switch. Like I'm do or die by those 3 or those 4 that I pick. So I
okay,
had Omer. I picked Omer after episode 3. I had Omer. I had Mike,
hmm
Lindsay,
hmm
and Marianne.
oh, okay. You dropping Lindsay? I'm guessing.
I'm thinking about this merge episode tonight, though. I think I might have to drop Lindsay only because she's got the least content and like
Yeah,
no story. There's like just no
right.
story whatsoever. Not even it's less than Erica, which is pretty bad.
Yeah, yeah. She hasn't had her like backstory moment yet,
Yeah,
right?
and when she does get her backstory moment, we know she's going home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
I'm similar. I'm if I had to pick three, it'd probably be Mike, Omer. I'd maybe switch Marianne for someone like I think probably Drea with High being like a close second. Only because I feel like
Yeah.
Marianne might be one of those people that they just feel like she could have a great um sociable, exciting final tribal and is just going to be this ball full of energy, whereas everyone else is just going to be exhausted and tired. Um, on top of being so young and just
Yeah.
so different from a winner in many different reasons than we've seen. So I feel like they might vote her out just because of her threat to win if she makes it to the final three. Um,
Yeah, I
but I
think
definitely wouldn't say
it's
she has
hard
no
to
shot.
I do struggle like envisioning how like somebody like Marianne's gonna win this season.
hmm
I look at her and I'm like her
I'm not.
character is
Yeah.
very atypical for like what you
Mm.
see in Survivor winners. She is a huge Like if
Yeah.
you're looking at like the most average, I would say somebody like Tommy probably, like she's very stock standard winner, basic. I'm like Marianne
Kim.
is swerving into like hard, like she's a big character. Lots of great moments. She did have an episode 1, like she went to Shipwheel Island and had I thought she had a very great backstory. It was very
Yeah.
well done. And she did talk a little bit about winning, but she also talked about growing, which is concerning because usually they have a growth edit or a person who becomes themselves by the end of the season. You could see like that be Marianne. She finds like solace on her way out as she gets voted out for like being the weirdo that she is. And like that's what
Mhm.
she takes comfort in. That was her story. Be like the Elaine, the big fan favorite. But they
Right.
are giving her a lot of strategy too. They gave her a good amount of strategy in the first hour of this
they did.
episode. And I was actually
Yeah.
very surprised. I'm like, it's interesting to see Marianne be like the front runner for up until she was like the vote to get voted out. She kind of faded back at that point, but she was present. And I was like, this is not bad for potentially Marianne winner at it. It's not
Mhm.
horrible. I mean, this is like, again, like I didn't see Erica winning, so maybe in a couple weeks I'll revisit this theory, but I could see that. Omer, it would be more of a stock standard. Like he's super smart. He's got it all. He's got the backstory. He's memorable. Strategy out the wazoo. Very
Mhm.
likable.
Yeah.
I don't know. Looking at who else. I'm not too high on High. I know a lot of people really love High. I'm not as high on his edit.
I would have been if the turn on Lydia hadn't happened.
I also too. I'm like, why didn't we see that? That's such a bit. Like, I guess they're gonna have to compensate next week.
Oh
Next
yeah,
week.
definitely.
They got it. Like he's got to be like the first thing we hear from High is like why he voted out Lydia. Like what?
Mhm.
That was for me. That was the biggest. I was like, what? His
Yeah.
story up to that point was like partially he's ride or die for Lydia. I will not go. I will go to rocks for Lydia. Like if
Right.
you don't
That was
touch
the
her, she's my
New
vote. I need her in
tribe,
the
bro.
game.
New tribe, new people.
Yeah, new tribe, new vibe. I guess I don't know.
That's right.
Gideon. Who's your 3 most likely to win?
Yeah, I mean, I think Mike and Omer are the staples, but I would probably also have a different third. And oh man, it's tough to pick a third because my winner pick was Chanel, but that's just in shambles right now, isn't it?
Pick Chanel. You never know.
Yeah, I mean,
That'd be a comeback.
yeah, that
On
would be
a
a
lot of
comeback.
levels.
They just made her look like a complete idiot this episode. I mean, she looked.
Yeah.
She
I
looked
thought
like
episode
she was
3
on
was so bad. for her.
another. She looked like she was on another planet this episode, man. Like it was ridiculous. I don't. There's no way a winner would get that. I'd probably
No, I don't
say
think
for
so.
3. I think
Roxroy?
Tori's in better shape than. Nah, Roxroy. I'd probably say Romeo. Just
Oh,
like
wow.
maybe he
Interesting.
comes. Maybe he
Honestly,
comes
that's not
back.
a bad pick. I considered Romeo weeks ago. I was like, there's something to him, but I don't know. He needs to
I'd be
be
cool with
more
that.
front and center going. He's pretty under the radar. He's good though.
He is under the radar, and you know, it's looking like he's gonna have a rocky next episode from next time on Survivor, but you never know.
Mhm. Right. But yeah, that's the episode. That's the merge episode. That's what we think's coming up
Lot
next.
to break
That's
down.
yes, 2-hour episode. Well, while we have you here, Peridiam, do you have any videos coming out soon that we should get excited
Battle
about?
map.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing the merge breakdown. I'm excited though. This is gonna be a lot. 2 hours
Yeah.
is a lot. I'm like, oh my god, because I rewatched the entire thing and I take notes on every single scene so that I can make sure that I get it right, and I have to figure out like what
Right.
from those notes I need to discard. Otherwise, it's gonna be a long video.
Yeah.
So yeah, like upcoming video will definitely be a merge breakdown and trying to make sense of it and like figure out what we're gonna get. Because I do read into the edit and I try to figure out like what are they showing us as the most important parts, and then that usually guides my predictions, which I think I'm usually pretty right on with my previous battle maps that I've done for previous seasons. I usually tend to have a good understanding of what's happening and like I'm not too blindsided by like the next episode based on but I'm like I don't do this very often because it does kind of like make me, I don't want to say spoil, but it like I have a pretty good understanding of what's going down. Whereas if I just casually watch, I'm much more blindsided by the next episode.
Mhm.
But yeah, battle map coming up, breaking down the merge, and then some other videos after that every Wednesday on my YouTube channel.
Awesome. Very cool. Guys, if you want to keep watching our recaps, be sure to like and subscribe. We normally do day after recaps, but we did a day of this time. Maybe we'll do more day ofs in the future, play it by ear. But we have more special guests coming up. I don't know if it's going to be next week. It might be the week after, but sometime soon we're going to get Vochi and Tiffany on the same recap. So that should be super fun. So
I'm gonna need
be sure to
ibuprofen for
subscribe
that
so you
one.
don't.
Go there.
Yeah. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that one. Peridiam, thanks so much for joining us and enjoy the rest of the season, guys.